and this is brought to you by Major. Like and subscribe to get your notifications. Couldn't do it without you, need your full participation. And we giving back this to show our appreciation. Tune in daily, get your positive vibrations. Learn different words in your own native language. Learn being black ain't all about slavery. Put that in the school book, that's part of education. We need to rewrite it, need some better information. Like how we built the pyramids and formed our own nation. Visit different continents and then try to invade it. Way before Columbus, but that ain't none of these pages. It's all just rumors, just a bunch of speculation. But why I never admit every hero is Caucasian. Even white people starting to say this shit is racist. Like how they talking to blacks for this vaccination. This is MajorTv and this is brought to you by Major. Like and subscribe to get your notifications. Do it without you, need your full participation. And we giving back this to show our appreciation. This is MajorTv and this is brought to you by Major. Like and subscribe to get your notifications. Do it without you, need your full participation. And we giving back this to show our appreciation. Appreciate the views and appreciate the comments. Keeping it real, always giving you this content. Hoping that my people don't take nothing out of context. Giving you this knowledge, hoping that it change your mindset. Telling you you're beautiful like the dawn of the sunset. And letting them know black power is more than just a concept. MajorTv, you know we do this for the people. Changing the community and raising future leaders. This is MajorTv and this is brought to you by Major. Like and subscribe to get your notifications. Couldn't do it without you, need your full participation. And we giving back this to show our appreciation. This is MajorTv and this is brought to you by Major. Like and subscribe to get your notifications. Couldn't do it without you, need your full participation. And we giving back this to show our appreciation.
Positive vibration. Good day to you all. This is Major. And thank you for tuning in MajorTv. Let's talk. I would definitely like to pull up this brother. I don't leave him backstage long. You know, this brother, Comrade Ramzu Yunus. Salute. Welcome to the channel again. How you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic. I'm as good as I can get at the moment, but we're getting better because I know where we are headed.
I want to thank everybody tuning in. Please like and share this live. Please like and share this live. We're going to get straight to it. But first, I definitely want to acknowledge everybody tuning in. Everybody from Nina, Cynthia, Carla, Ophelia, Daniel, Cody, Carla, Shirley, Shanda Dixon. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will get to the we will get to the comments, but I definitely want to start the show off. Greetings, brother. My saying assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. And first and foremost, when you originally we really talked about it, and when we was talking about dead Joe Biden, that's the title. They did Joe Biden sign reparation bill. Discuss with me the first thing that come to your mind, and what's this all about?
First thing that comes to my mind, I want to put myself in the mind of the average person. They would say, heck no, he didn't sign. Well, I didn't hear about it. He didn't sign any reparations bill. He said he don't agree with reparations, just like the rest of them. They would never support reparations. Just like Kamala Harris, when she was asked in an interview about reparations, she said that we can't do nothing just for black people because America's a democracy and it's ran by the majority. The majority's interests always take priority, and majority's interest, of course, is not giving the minority black people reparations. So I say, now, of course, Joe Biden didn't, but I know better. So now I know that Joe Biden did sign a policy in support of reparations. We just missed it. And we're going to show that in a minute.
Let's speak about something you say about I'm gonna use a correct term, the ruling class, right? What can you speak and tell people about what you were just saying? You use another way of expressing it. The majority, you said majority, but let's say ruling class. Can you kind of explain to people what's that's about? What's going on?
Well, majority is white people. That's the majority in this country. There's something in political science called tyranny of the majority. Tyranny of the majority. Everybody, if you're listening, write that down, Google it. You look up the definition and look up the definition of tyranny of the majority. If you go to different political science websites and publications, even Wikipedia mentions tyranny. It explains tyranny of the majority. Tyranny of the majority, it says, is an inherent weakness in democracy. It says that the majority, of course, will always get what it wants because it's the majority against the interests of the minorities. And it says those kind of actions and those kind of conditions will lead to oppression, similar to being under tyranny or under a despot. So that's what tyranny of the majority is. So whatever we want, unless we can convince the majority of people to want it, we're not going to get it. It's like us in a room, it's 100 of us. Only 2 of us like basketball. The rest like football. We're never going to watch any basketball games. Never. We're about 14% or whatever of the United States. If you can convince 86 other percent to give black people reparations, or what we think is reparations, we're going to give the real definition of reparations, then of course we are wrong. If we think we're going to get not 86% the march for our rights as far as police brutality, wrongful convictions, you're not going to get it. Now, if they start getting wrongfully convicted, etc., then of course then those things would change for their benefit because they are the majority. For instance, the majority, of course, is white. White people suffer from the sun, from solar rays, UV rays. It gives them skin cancer. So now they're trying to put particles in the air to block the sun, which is good for them. But there's a minority population inside of America that if you block the sun, it makes us sick. It kills us. But who wins at the end of the day? It's a majority rule nation. It's democracy. So they win. So that's something that's natural and actually good if they want to block it for them. But for us, it's not right. So tyranny of the majority. So we can never win in that situation. The majority will always win. Our interests will never be represented unless we can get the majority to stand up for them. And I doubt that would ever happen.
And similarly, saying when crack cocaine affected our community, it wasn't a big deal to opioids hit the white community. Now you're talking about prevention, drug prevention programs, and so forth, so on. So I totally agree with that. We have so many examples. When something affects them, they go out the way to make sure they're all right. But when something affects our community, it's not important. What is reparation and what it look like for us as a people?
What is reparations? We're going to give the real definition of reparations. Matter of fact, can I share the screen?
Yes.
I want to show people the real definition of reparations. Let me see. I hope I never did this before, but
it should work. Yes.
Okay. Am I sharing the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a United Nations resolution. It's called the Basic Principles and Guidelines on the Right to a Remedy and Reparation for Victims of Gross Violations of International Human Rights Law and Serious Violations of International Humanitarian Law. Of course, slavery and everything else that went inside of slavery, forced removals, etc., those were violations of human rights. So we are due. That's where the whole reparations movement come in, because they know, according to law, we are due reparations. You don't need to go to court, try to find out, are we due reparations? That's a given. We do reparations. So now this is a guideline. This says basic principles and guidelines on the right to a remedy and reparation, so that we can get a real understanding on what reparations is. It's defined at the international level. Let me read something right quick. bear with me, everyone. This is political science 101, because we don't really know these things, so we don't ever follow them, and we'll never get any justice until we understand these things. Bear with me. Let me show something. But first of all, let me just skip on down. I want to show. But this document says that the states should actually educate. It's the duty of the states to educate people on this document. But nobody ever heard of this document. That's why we don't know the real meaning of reparation. Here's something. Reparation for harm suffered. Now understand this, everybody that's listening. Now you're going to know what reparations really are. It says adequate, effective, prompt reparation is intended to promote justice by redressing gross violations of international human rights law or serious violations of international humanitarian law. Reparations should be proportional to the gravity of the violations and the harm suffered. So first of all, it qualifies reparations. Reparations should be what? Proportional to the gravity of the violations and harm suffered. What kind of harm did we suffer? What kind of violation did we go through? Did we go through the violation of them taking some money out of our pocket? No, the number one key violation was the conquering of black people and enslavement of black people, the denial of sovereign rights and the denial of self-government. That's the proportion. That's the gravity of the offense. A whole people was conquered and enslaved. That whole people that were conquered and enslaved, they had their own money. So you can't repair them by giving them some of your money. The first repair is put them back under self-government so they can be enjoying their own sovereign rights, have their own society. That's proportional. Giving us some money while we're still under a system that enslaved us, where we are a minority at that, that's not reparation. That's why it's defined it. It's defining it right here. It must be proportional. So anybody talk about money, we're trying to figure out how much we're owed. Anybody talk about money trying to weigh and calculate the monetary value, that means they don't know nothing about reparations. That's why these documents are here. It's bigger than some money. Matter of fact, the money will actually harm us. It will increase the stronghold because it will stimulate the economy and the economic strength of those who have us under oppression. So there cannot be reparations. So I'm just giving you all, we're going over a definition of what reparations is first before we go on further. That's what reparation is. It's putting us back in a position that we were broken away from. We were broken away from running our own things, governing ourselves, enjoying our sovereign rights, having our own cultural, economic, and social development, having our own money. So you can't repair me with some money with other people with slave masters on the money. Man, you can not give me, but if you can give me my sovereign rights. We're gonna go over how we get our sovereign rights and get our reparations ourselves, how we can actually give ourselves reparations in a minute. But now after that, then you can give us some of your wealth that you stole from us to help us in our development. But all of these things, reparations, if we're talking about monetary reparations, that's a political decision. It's a political decision. And the money is going to come from the state that the political apparatus controls. But if we control the state ourselves, then we are the political apparatus, so we can give ourselves reparations, monetary reparations. But the real reparation is putting us back in control. I hope everybody's listening and understand what reparations is. It's repair. We were broken away from having our own. So you can't give me $1 while I'm riding somebody else's car. No, give me my car back. I hope we understand that. Now, I'm still sharing the screen, Comrade Major?
Yes.
Now we're gonna go over how Joe Biden. That's what most people are here. How did Joe Biden sign a policy for reparation? What policy did Joe Biden sign? First, you can see the screen now. You see the Google.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, look at this. This is Google. This is something called the New Atlantic Charter. New Atlantic Charter. I bet none of us ever heard of that, unless you're a human rights policy officer. Look how many results. About 57,600,000 results. Now, if you Google New Atlantic Charter saying 57,600,000 results, I'm tempted to Google Will Smith slaps whatever the other comedian he slapped and see how many results that get. It probably don't even get this many results. But everybody know about Will Smith. Nobody knows about the Atlantic Charter. Nobody. And it was an assist for us. Matter of fact, it was an alley-oop. We could slam dunk this whole thing home. We're going to prove our point. What is the New Atlantic Charter? Now let's play Joe Biden. Is the video showing on the screen? The YouTube?
Yeah.
Let's listen. I can blow it up. Full screen?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
80 years ago, Prime Minister Winston Churchill and President Franklin Roosevelt signed an agreement known as the Atlantic Charter. It was a statement of first principles, a promise that the United Kingdom and the United States would meet the challenges of their age and they would meet it together. Today, we build on that commitment with a revitalized Atlantic Charter, updated to reaffirm that promise while speaking directly to the key challenges of this century.
Could they hear the video too, Major?
Yes.
Okay, that's Joe Biden talking about the New Atlantic Charter to reaffirm commitment to the Atlantic Charter. Now, what is the Atlantic Charter? Bear with me. This is powerful. It should have been those 57 or whatever million results on Google should have been 57 million posts by black people in America. But I didn't even see not even 57 posts. I didn't even see 5 posts about it. Let's we're going somewhere. This is the Atlantic Charter. Now, this is out of Yale University, law school. Yale University, not Ramzu, Radical, Black Power University, Conspiracy University, Yale University. This is the Atlantic Charter. Let's get down to number 3 right here. I don't know if I can blow this screen up, but I'm going to read it out if you all can't see it. Third, they respect the right of all, talking about the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. They respect the right of all peoples to choose the form of government under which they will live. And they wish to see sovereign rights and self-government restored to those who have been forcibly deprived. Now, this is Joe Biden just signed a commitment to this. A commitment to what? Respect that all people can choose their form of government. And they wish to see sovereign rights and what? Self-government restored. That word restored, same word as repair, to those who have been forcibly deprived. To those who have been forcibly deprived. Okay, how do I stop sharing now? I don't even know how.
I got to do it.
All right.
I'm echoing now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm echoing.
No, you're not echoing no more. You did for like a couple of seconds.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So let me build on that point before you get to your statement, Comrade Major. If the president said he wanted to see those restored, sovereign rights and self-government restored to those who have been forcibly deprived, first we ask, who are those who have been forcibly deprived? Comrade Major, do you know anybody that's in America that has been forcibly deprived of sovereign rights and self-government? Do anybody in the chat section or watching know any peoples in America that have been forcibly deprived of sovereign rights and self-government? I know I can. I don't know if anybody else can.
I can.
That's black people. So he's saying he wished to see us restored. What's that another word of? For reparations. So he signed this commitment. He didn't say, I'm going to restore y'all. He said, I wish to see it. So that means there's some action that we can take to restore ourselves by asserting our human rights, which we're going to go over. But first, I'm going to let Comrade Major ask questions. I see he had something he wanted to say.
I was trying to make sure I was echoing, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not echoing no more, what have you. But I keep questions, but if you want to continue, I can call my questions later. All
right. Thanks, Comrade Major. I'm going to share the screen again. This is an educational. This is not just an interview. This is an education. So I'm going to share the screen again. We in college right now. That's political science 101. You know, back in the day, some of the presidents, when they was forming the democracy, going over the voting rights of the population, some of the founding fathers and leadership in those days said, I don't think everyone should be able to participate in the political system. I don't think everyone should vote. Because they're too stupid. They're too ignorant. I think that president and those leaders was right. How can we vote and we don't even know what we have a right to be doing in the first place? We don't know that we can vote ourselves out of the system and give ourselves reparation, but we still continue to vote. And we don't even study the local political science. We just vote for whatever's popular. But let me go on. That's why we got to educate us so we won't be ignorant voters voting ourselves into our own demise. Bear with me. Here we go. We're going to learn today. Can you all see the screen? Is it showing, Comrade Major?
Oh, I gotta pull it up. My bad.
This is a screen I'm sharing. If you look at the URL, this is from Temple University. We said you're sharing things from university, from law schools. Now, this is the law. Can they see it, Major?
Yes, they can see it.
Okay. It says all peoples have a right to self-determination. Henry J. Richardson III's liberatory perspective on racial justice. This is written by Natsu Taylor Saitu. Natsu Taylor Saitu is a professor of law at Georgia State University. She's a graduate from Yale University. She's an Asian American talking about black people's right of self-determination. But I like the subheading that she has here when she quoted Henry J. Richardson, who's also a professor of law at Temple University and a graduate from Yale University. Notwithstanding, I'm going to read it right now. Notwithstanding oppression, subordinated people can have a jurisprudence on which they act without a dominating people or group's permission. I hope we understand that. I'm going to read that again so I'm going to instill this one. Subordinated people, of course you know who the subordinated people are, can have a jurisprudence. Jurisprudence is a system of law on which they can act without a dominating people or group's permission. That jurisprudence is human rights. That jurisprudence is international law. Meaning, if we follow international law, which, for instance, international law gives us a right to humanitarian intervention. So if somebody or a nation is violating someone's human rights, another nation can intervene. They can step in and blow the nation up, blow leader, etc., if they want to, if they choose to. But can you hear me, Comrade Major?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, because my camera actually went off. I don't know what happened, but so in the name of international law, United States, like they did in Libya, just go and just start blowing up another man's country because they're following a jurisprudence where they can act without permission. Because human rights say if somebody's violating human rights, another nation is violating its people's human rights, anybody can intervene. Not just another nation, even individuals in that country can intervene for themselves. So this lawyer is quoting another lawyer, attorney, who said, we can act without permission. We're getting somewhere. I'm mentioning this because we're going somewhere with this. Let me skip down right quick to page 8. Everybody bear with me right quick. Just bear with me. We're getting somewhere. Skip down to page 8. I'm reading from lawyers, so you can know this is not just a radical, crazy mind speaking, revolutionary mind of Ramzu. These are attorneys. This brings us to what I'm reading this lawyer's words. This brings us to what are, from my perspective, the most interesting questions raised by Professor Richardson's insights. Are African Americans and other peoples of color in the United States engaging in or even considering decolonization? Are we moving toward genuine liberation rather than simply asking? They should have capitalized that word. I'm going to write this thing over and capitalize that and put it in all caps. Asking for superficial adjustments to the status quo. In other words, will we take our right to self-determination seriously and act on it? See, now, in the beginning, this lawyer said you can act without asking. So when you assert your right of self-determination, rights are something we have. You don't ask for your rights. You have them, so you just do it. You have a right, freedom of speech. You don't go and march and then say, can I? have freedom of speech. You say, I got freedom of speech, so I just begin marching and speaking freely by any means necessary, whether it be on Facebook, out in the streets, etc. I'm asserting my right to freedom of speech. Same thing, freedom, right to remain silent. The police stop you, just remain silent. Why? Because you got a right. You don't got to march and ask for the right. You got a right, assert that right, and just shut your mouth. We have a right of self-determination, meaning we can stand up wherever we are, declare unilateral independence over our cities, over our areas, and just take control. That's why the professor of law said that we have a jurisprudence where we can act, just take action. We don't have to ask anyone, can we do what we need to do? Our cities in America are worth over 15, stop sharing the screen now. Our cities are worth over $15 trillion. The areas where black people live in America, 15 trillion. Now, what if we took control of the asset alone, the real estate value assets alone? What if we took control of those cities, Comrade Major?
Apologies. He's back. All right, my brother.
We can give ourselves monetary reparations. We can leverage that 15 trillion and give ourselves monetary reparation if you're talking about money. But as we just defined, reparations is not money. Reparations is being restored back to governing yourself, back to self-government, back to enjoying your sovereign rights. Now, if we had self-government, then of course we're going to give everybody some money. Of course we're going to let prisoners out of prison. Of course we're going to stop police brutality because there's a new police force now with different objectives. Of course there's not going to be any homelessness because we got over 5 million properties that's empty in our neighborhood. So we're going to house everybody. So there won't be any more suffering. That's reparation. That's real repair of a people. Not giving me some money. Next day, hey, while I'm driving a new car, the cop gonna stop me while I'm driving that new car for. Then he blow my brains out. A white cop. Because I'm still in their same system. As a matter of fact, I'm spending money with them that they just gave me, strengthening their economy. So we just have to learn basically what reparations is. Joe Biden signed that commitment, that policy statement last year saying he wishes to see sovereign rights and self-government restored to those who have been forcibly deprived. That's the president speaking. So if he wishes to see self-government and sovereign rights restored, then let's help him to see that. Let's help him see the sovereign rights. It's based upon actions that we must take of self-determination. Go ahead, Comrade Major.
First and foremost,
I'm trying to fix my camera.
Tuning in, we have this great brother Ramzu Yunus on the show, and we're talking about did President Joe Biden sign reparation bill? Please like and share it live. Please like and share it live. Believe me, if you don't know anything about reparation, if you don't know anything about self-determination, if you don't know anything about self-government, if you don't even know anything about international human rights law, this is the brother, this is the platform that's talking about it right now. I have a couple of questions right quick. First, what is the people missing? I mean, because even though some of us sleeping on a rock, but a lot of, I didn't say a lot, some of us do know this, right? Even some of us that's propagating the same, I don't want to say the same, but saying the same thing about self-determination a different way though. What are we missing that as a people coming in unison with this, right? What's going on? Because we had self-determination when we heard in I don't know, in my lifetime. But what are we missing?
First of all, awareness. We're missing awareness. First of all, we don't know about the right of self-determination. Just like 100 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, when you could find a town in America, it could be in a city, it could be 1 million people in that city. Let's say 1,015,000 people. 15 of the people were white, 1 million were black. But you know who was the mayor in the city council? The 15 white folks. Because the black people didn't know that they had rights. Just somebody cracked open a book or somebody enlightened them, said, look, open up that city charter, that state constitution, etc., and know that you all have a right to actually, y'all the majority, you all should be governing this city. Then they became aware. Then after that awareness, of course, you had to give the people the courage to stand up, because there were some people going to say, hey, man, we ain't going to ever be running no city, man. White folks been running these cities. They ain't going to let us be no mayors and no city council of the city. So they had to sway the people, give them enough courage, try to instill some courage in the people to actually stand up for their rights. Now you have 600, 800 black cities with black mayors and city councils. But it all began with first knowing that you do have an option. Now implementation of that option, standing up for that right, then that's the next stage. Right now, black people don't even know about the right of self-determination. Those who are listening, do you know about it? Do your neighbor know about it? Does your family members know about the right of self-determination? I'm sure none of them do. So they've never stood up for that. I'm sure if everybody knew the right of self-determination, after they killed George Floyd, when we hit the streets by the millions, we would have took over our cities, because we would know that we have a right to not just march against and shout against the police and the government who runs the police, but we have a right to hit those streets and actually take over those streets, take over those cities. But nobody knew that they had that right. So we marched and protested and went right back home powerless, and they continued killing people. So the first thing we need to know is that we do have a right of self-determination. We can actually organize and rally ourselves together to take over our cities lawfully. Like Dr. King was getting ready to do. He was getting ready to occupy DC until they cut a check. He said we're going from reform to revolution. If he said that, then why are we still dealing with reform? And the leaders of the reparations movement, they really don't want no nation of their own. They don't want real reparation. They want to stay in this system, so they fight for false reparations, calling it a check, asking for money. But first we got to have awareness. You have to have awareness of what reparations is and that we have a right of self-determination.
Let's speak about the whites that in my opinion, and I don't want to overstep saying they exercise self-determination because they already feel like they're running things, right? But let's think about what they did in the Michigan state capital and other places where they even let's talk about Michigan, also the capital, U.S. capital, state and U.S. capital, and other places throughout history. We lost the brother for 1 second. He's back. Damn. Okay. We got issues. We're gonna be all right.
I just kept my camera on.
All right.
I was trying to keep the camera on anyway.
Let's talk about the whites.
The people
recently who
the whites in Michigan. Well, I'm not a white person, obviously, but they made me proud to see somebody standing up. Matter of fact, I had a little, what's those little miniature table type things where you can have your laptop. Huh?
I'm not finished with my question.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the whites that what happened in Michigan. Let's talk about what happened in state capital. I mean, U.S. capital. And then around this country, we have seen where they own or what have you, exercise some form of self-determination or getting the attention of the government and what have you. And it didn't always go their way, but most time it went their way. And we know the mindset, how they think and how they feel. Can we equate that as the opposite with us in reference to us not knowing it and using that as an example?
Yeah, if we can, we are the exact opposite. White folks have a heritage, you see. We don't have a heritage. Only heritage we know is from slavery, and we was already subject people and already beaten to submission for most of our known history that we know about. But white folks' heritage in America was built upon revolution. It had slogans like "Give me liberty" or "Give me death." This country was founded upon revolution. So that's their heritage, revolution. They say alter or abolish government. If it don't meet your ends, if it don't give you justice, if you don't feel justified, happy, or safe under the government, abolish it. Matter of fact, in most of the state constitutions, there's something called a right to revolution. These constitutions and states were founded when black people were still slaves, but white folks made sure they put number one in most constitutions that we have a right to revolution. If this government gets out of hand, we're running up on them. Matter of fact, the first thing in the Michigan State Constitution says all political power is inherent in the people. And it was qualified before they amended it and said they have the right at all times to alter or abolish government whenever they deem it necessary for their safety and happiness. See, this type of stuff is instilled in white people. So they didn't feel happy with what was going on last year or the year before last with the COVID-19 restrictions. So they said if they don't feel happy and safe, they have a right to alter and abolish. So they ran up in the state house with machine guns. Not one of them get arrested. And I bet you some months later, that governor, or short time later, that governor changed them policies. And now Michigan's COVID-19 restrictions are relaxed to this day. See, white folks know that. They know that's their legacy. Revolution is their legacy. Our legacy is submission. And those who try to engage in some form of revolution against the system, they murder them. And that caused further demoralization of us. So we don't want no smoke. Our leaders don't want no smoke because they don't want to be a Malcolm X. They don't want to be a Martin Luther King. They don't want to be a Fred Hampton Jr. Heck, I want to get shot down, but I'm willing to risk it. But nobody wants to do that. So we continue this same legacy of submission, trying to reform something that can't be reformed. But white folks, their nation is not built upon reform. Their legacy is not built upon reform. Their legacy and their nation, the United States, is built upon revolution. So it's in them.
Well, what you're saying, and you address the elephant in the room. Let's do it now. You're saying most melanated people in this country have a inferior mindset, and if that's so, how dismantle that? Apologies. You got the question, brother?
Yeah, say it again. You went silent for a minute. I don't know if it was to everybody or just to me.
It was to you, brother. You got bad internet.
Not everyone. I'm in Central African Republic, so I have an excuse.
Anyway, the question is, if they've been bred the way they've been bred because of the revolution that took place with them against Britain, and overall how they basically subjugated melanated people, it must be the opposite for us as far as feeling inferior. And I'm talking about not too much toward them, just talking about in life, period, right? And I'm saying how we dismantle that, because that is a real issue with real progress in our community of us thinking outside the box. Only a handful of us really think outside the box and really do great things, you know. And a lot of us are where we at, you know, not to be critical to the sense of knocking nobody, but it is an inherent mindset that been instilled in us from childhood. And I don't think we even realize subliminally how our mind and everything been shaped. But if that's the case, how we dismantle that? But that's a two-part question.
How do we dismantle it? Well, it's something that was shaped by the rulers of this society, who control the womb, how we come out, how we shaped, and how we were born. You can't build a snowman inside of a sauna. You ever been to a sauna? You've been to a sauna in the gym. It could be 50 below degrees outside and 20 inches of snow. Take some of that snow inside that sauna and see if you can build a snowman. You're not gonna be able to build a snowman. We can't build real men, real women, real family inside of this environment. It's impossible. Some may slip and try to get a semblance of being a real man, a semblance of being a real family, but you really can't build a real family inside this environment, inside this culture. So that means you have to assert your right of self-determination. You have to take control. So now you control the society. You control the cultural development of the people, the social development. You control what they listen to, how they're taught. But right now we don't control. Even if we come up with our own subculture like hip hop, because we don't control the political and economic system, they're going to co-opt that. It's going to be co-opted, and now they control hip hop. So we're going to always be shaped, well, they say born in sin and shaped by iniquity. So we're always going to be under that condition and facing those dynamics until we get control. So we can instill fearlessness in somebody when fear is instilled in them, in their DNA for one thing, then reinforced by societal norms. We have to change that society and create new societal norms, a new culture that will instill some courage in them and various other things like changing the things being put in food and etc. But the answer to that question is we have to just first of all get self-determination, control the economic, social, and cultural development. Then we can start leading our people with the right mentalities and have the right attitudes. But until then, we don't control that.
Do you think America would ever give melanated people, ADOS, American descendants of slaves, any reparations?
No, I don't think they would ever give us any reparations. And those, would you want to wait on some reparation where you can give it to yourself? They can give us some reparation, but would you wait on it? If you're sitting there starving, somebody can bring you some food, but the law says there's some food right there. You can get it yourself. You're going to follow the law to get the food for yourself instead of saying somebody can give me some food. So now I'm not going to rely on. They can give us reparations, but that reparations means they got to give us 40 acres and a mule. That was reparations. I mean, we give you your own territory and some resources. Now you on your own. You govern yourself. That's reparations. So America's not even going to give us, they don't even want to give us a few little dollars for reparations. But they definitely not going to give us the real definition of reparations, because that will break up the state and the United States into at least 1,200 pieces where we live, where we occupy. So they're not going to do that. That breaks down what is called territorial integrity. So it's not going to give us anything. So it's up to us to give it to ourselves. And the first option in law is to give it to yourself. If white folks was in this condition, I bet they would have gave themselves some reparations. It wouldn't mean waiting on black people to get them reparations. Matter of fact, they would know what real reparations is in the first place.
From a self-determination and self-governance standpoint, can you explain to everybody what that means and what it look like?
It looks like what you see now. Well, you don't see us doing it, but you see governments there. You see city being ran. See this ran by and kept together by laws. It's not kept together by the officials that's there. It's that people respect certain laws, ordinances, policies, just like you expect. Nobody's on the street telling you how to drive. You rarely see police and state troopers on the street, but you drive because there's some policies that govern the road. There's some policies that govern society. We're talking about just simply changing the guard and saying, look, we run this city. It'll still be going the same way, but it'll be better. Instead of having homeless people, instead of like in Detroit, for instance, instead of having hundreds of thousands of empty properties, the people will have properties for free. They'll have housing for free. Instead of having police force on the street hunting people down, there won't be any police force, or the police force will be there to actually assist the people in living, not to arrest people. Arrest means to stop. We're not stopping people's development. We're here to assist the development of society. So it'll be a city. It won't be chaos, but it'll be ran better. It'll be peace. It'll be prosperity, because things will be ran totally different. So it's the same what you see, but better. It won't be chaotic. It'll just be black people governing themselves with policies that benefit black people, instead of policies that benefit a few elite economic or corporate interests. It looks like paradise. That's how it looks. It looks like peace. It looks like like everybody on the block having their own home. Everybody at peace. It looks like our own economic system, where the hundreds of millions that we spend every week in Detroit, for instance, that hundreds of millions, instead of going outside of the city, is coming back to the city every week. So now the city is prosperous and everybody in the city is rich. It looks like little kids being able to walk down the street peacefully because they ain't got to worry about crime. Why? Because poverty produces crime, and there's no more poverty because we control the economic system. We have monetary repair as well. So there won't be any of the usual things going on because all of those things have been solved. It looks like something we've never seen. That's why the Bible paints a picture of paradise. And what does it say? Peace in paradise. It says the empty mansions of Jerusalem. Everybody have plush mansions and be able to enjoy. They'll have buffet, so to speak, all you can eat. They will have freedom from the jails. There'll be no more worry, no more crying. That's just a society that's ran by ourselves. That's the picture of that the scripture paints. So that's how it looks. It's a people that's free. We ain't stressing ourselves to death on where we're going to live, how we're going to pay rent, etc. What we're going to eat tomorrow.
I want to thank my brother, shout out to Rayshawn Irvin for the super chat donation. What's up, brother Major Ramzu and Room B1 first. Much love, brother. Thank you for the donation. Today we have brother Ramzu on the show, and he's speaking about did President Joe Biden signed reparation bill. I want to thank everybody tuning in. Please like and share. Please like and share. If you want to know more about Brother Ramzu, all his information, hotline, website, the description of this video. Moving on. When you say did President Joe Biden sign reparation bill, what were you actually trying to imply or say when you entitled this?
I was saying that signed that new Atlantic Charter. He said to seeing those who have been forced of self-government and sovereign rights restored. And definition of reparations is seeing us restored. So that means everybody, which is wherever, if you're on here black, wherever you live, your community now you can stamp and you run that. The assets of that community belong to you. To governing yourselves. That's reparations. So Joe Biden signed that. He didn't say he's going to implement that. He said he wishes to see that. Now it's up to us to assert our right to make that. Joe Biden signed a policy in support of reparations. The Atlantic Charter is reparations. That policy is the real reparations. It didn't say sign a policy saying we're going to give black folks some dollars to go and spend. He's saying we wish to see black people governing themselves again and restored to governing themselves, restored enjoying sovereign rights. And that means repaired. That's reparations. So indeed, he did sign that. And once we are enjoying ourselves, then we can give ourselves all the money we want if we equate reparations.
Apologies.
I'm here. I'm just trying to get that camera work, Major.
Again, I want to thank everybody.
I'm going to refresh, so y'all might have to bear with me.
I want to thank everybody tuning in. We have this powerful brother, Ramzu Yunus, live with us. Unfortunately, he having technical difficulties, but he will be with us shortly. But the topic is, did President Joe Biden sign a reparation bill? And his brother's sharing a lot of information about it. Yeah, Ramzu.
I'm here. This camera's having problems, so we just do without it.
And please like and share. Please like and share. This is a very needed conversation. I have more questions for his brother once he can get settled. But yes, we definitely need to discuss this.
I'm seeing some comments when I glance over in the comment section. Someone says Harvard University is paying reparations. In fact, I had a document from Harvard University, but I didn't share it. University is giving somebody some superficial adjustments, as the Professor Richardson said. They're not giving reparations. That's why we have to define what reparations is. Are they restoring black people back to their own power where they can be rich beyond a check? No, they're not doing that. So we got to get the definition of reparations, people. They're going to trick us and give us something and say, oh, y'all repaired. We gave it to you. They didn't give us anything. We're not repaired.
Brother Ramsey, consider the climate of us as a people in this country and the oppression that we go through every day, the trauma and the financial issues. And those who are saying they're advocates for change in the community, some that possibly may echo self-determination. How can we as a group of people really come together and realize small fractions of unity as opposed to complete unity, knowing that everybody may not be a part of it, but how can that change drastically in reference to the example you're using with the George Floyd protests and riots and whatnot? I don't want to say riots, but protests and what have you. How unity look like with self-determination, real self-determination, and real changing everything by actually taking our own reparation as far as the housing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hello?
Your thing is spinning a little bit. Maybe my, well, I'm sure it's my connection.
Wow. Can you hear me?
I heard most of it. I heard most of it. Just give me a good understanding. Just
Oh, I
one
say,
sentence.
yeah. I said, as a people, as far as unity, there are smaller fractions of unity in our community, right? And some on acting self-determination. How self-determination look when you have a complete large group of people that's talking about self-determination in reference to actually acquiring those properties, actually putting our people in a position of change, of prospering and elevating. Can you explain to people the importance of us coming together and not working in smaller groups to achieve this?
Yes, as the document we read from the two attorneys out of Yale University, graduates from Yale University's doctors of law and professors of law at Temple University and Georgia State University. She quoted the other lawyer in saying that, will Black people take self-determination seriously and act upon it? So yeah, there's people echoing it, but acting upon self-determination, that requires some real action. That requires facing giants. Now, the powers that so-called powers that be, they don't. Matter of fact, let me bear with me right quick. Can I share the screen one more time? This is gonna answer your question, Major.
Yes, you can.
Let me share the screen one more time. I think y'all can see the screen now. Here's another scholar out of Princeton University and Tel Aviv University. So, we the peoples, the strange demise of self-determination, the strange demise. This author, in this 34-page publication, this author was talking about why come the people are not even rallying behind self-determination. Well, decades ago, especially before the 70s, it was the topic. It was the number one choice to rally behind, to engage in revolution, because all revolution is based on self-determination. If it's not, you're not in a revolution. He said, but why all of a sudden did people stop talking about it? Why they stop uniting behind this principle? Why is the axis of action not self-determination? He said the strange demise, because prior to the 70s, that's what all oppressed people across America, across the world, was talking about when they were oppressed, and as a solution, self-determination. But it goes back to this. He explains how the government connived and made sure that self-determination is not in the vocabulary of Black people. And if it is in the vocabulary of Black people, it will be the wrong definition of self-determination, which the self-determination is in the Black vocabulary given to us by Kwanzaa. But it's the wrong definition. We don't have to go over the history of the creator of Kwanzaa, but most people know he did work with the FBI and even killed Black Panthers for the FBI, for American government. But this is 1980. If you're looking at the screen, in 1918, it was President Woodrow Wilson who made self-determination popular. He the one popularized. He said it's not a mere phrase, it is an imperative principle of action. Meaning you don't just shout out and talk about it, you got to act upon this thing. See, we're shouting it out. It's a mere phrase to most of us. Black power is a phrase, a slogan. We ain't active. If you say Black power, then take over where you yelling Black power out and show Black power. Say, look, this is Black power. We control what we marching at. Especially we got all these guns. We control this. It's an imperative principle of action, not a slogan. Whose streets, our streets? That's a self-determination phrase. But it's an action that take those streets. Show us your streets. But anyway, when Woodrow Wilson popularized and started talking about self-determination in order to bring peace to the world, because white folks were fighting each other in Europe, he told them, look, y'all just respect that everybody can govern themselves. No other group can govern another group. Let everybody govern themselves. Sovereign rights. self-government. But after Wilson said this, check it out now. The president, you ever heard of a position called Secretary of State? How many people heard of a position called Secretary of State? That's a very powerful position in the government. The Secretary of State is appointed by the president. So it's not elected, he's appointed. So he's supposed to be the president's friend and have the same views. But after Wilson said self-determination, his own Secretary of State cried out against the president and said, hold on. If you read this document, this is a quote from the Secretary of State at that time. He said, the phrase is simply loaded with dynamite. What a calamity that the phrase was ever uttered. What misery it will cause. Now, how come the president saying it will bring peace and justice to people, but his own Secretary of State saying self-determination will cause calamity? It will bring us misery. It will bring the United States calamity and misery. It's loaded with dynamite. Why? Because there's a group of people who have been forcibly deprived of self-determination, that if they assert their right of self-determination, boom, there goes the dynamite. It blows up the government. It blows up injustice. It blows up those prison houses that's wrongfully convicting us. It blows up the police department that's murdering us, assassinating, and terrorizing the community. Boom, it blows up the poverty that we're in because now we control. So he said it's loaded with dynamite. It will bring misery. So immediately they started orchestrating, as this author points out, ways to promote self-determination to those white folks, but make sure the black people in America don't ever talk about self-determination. Make sure that they work with black leadership to help leadership promote things that won't threaten the existence of the government. They just a fight for superficial adjustments. We'll fight to get somebody charged for killing one of us, a police officer charged. We'll fight for Mumia Abu Jamal, even though he never getting out with the actions that we're doing. We'll just protest for that instead of asserting our right of self-determination, taking over and getting these people out of prison, out of jail. Instead of arresting those police or dismantling the police department. Instead of taking over the economy where we control the economics of our community. Taking it over. Now, this is what white folks was promoting at the turn of the last century. But for us, they said, no, we're going to promote leadership that wants to integrate. We're going to promote leadership that will do everything besides assert that right of self-determination and take over. So here we go today. The most popular leaders, they just trying to get some superficial adjustments, as the attorney said. The most popular leaders, they're not trying to do anything that threatens the existence of the government. Even if you're marching around with a bunch of guns, you're not threatening the existence of the government. Unless you're using those guns to take over, lawfully take over. So they will promote that, give it all kinds of promotions. So now the masses of us will follow behind what's being promoted. You always say, why the masses don't know about what you all are doing, Ramzu? They're not going to promote what we're doing because it's loaded with dynamite. You think the government going to promote dynamite to blow itself up? No, they're not. So we can unite behind it, but we have to know. We have to be courageous enough. But at least a core group of us, because the core group of us represent the aspirations of everybody. Everybody wants free housing. Everybody wants monetary reparations. Everybody wants the ending of police brutality and wrongful convictions. But not many of us are going to stand up and fight and actually put their lives on the line for that. So we do have the unity of the masses. We just got to rally them to give that consent to the few that's willing to make sure that those rights are being enjoyed. Also, if you can put that link in the voting link, the Black Independence Vote. So we have an online vote for Black people that want to assert the right of self-determination. Once you have millions of people voting, now we have a database. That database is a power base because it's all about the numbers. If you can prove that you are in representation of the numbers, heck, we can go as an army and take over every Black city that we want to because we prove that the people want this. But it has to be representative of the people. And we know everybody agree with what we're saying. So we just have to rally them and let them know, look, we have a right to take over this city. I'm sure you in Atlanta, mate. If you go around Atlanta and ask Black people, do they want, would you mind a monetary reparations check? Would you mind free housing? Would you mind getting your cousins out of prison and jail? They would say yes. So now tell them, look, you have a right to have that if you assert and agree to vote for Black independence. So we do have a vote to rally the people, and we looking for more people to stand up with us. Get suited and booted so we can assert it. See, they put laws in every city, but they have a police force there to make sure those rights are enforced and make sure nobody's rights are violated. So we have to do the same thing. That's the purpose of having all the soldiers, the FOI, the Black Panthers, the INFAC, whoever, everybody, militant groups that's standing up. Not to just rally and make noise and go back home powerless, but let's actually turn that from a mere slogan into imperative action. And let's rally the people behind that.
Hey, I just put independent black vote in the description of the video. If you don't know, we just did a live. That was, I believe, Wednesday. Was that Wednesday?
I think that was Sunday. No, Sunday.
That was Sunday.
Was it Sunday?
I'm sorry, it was Sunday. We just did a live talking about black independent vote. You can go vote. The description of my video, hit the link, and they bring you to the website. It's easy. Just put a couple pieces of information in there, and you voted. So that's what's up. I have one or two more questions, and I'm gonna let you close out. Planning wise and strategical wise, how people can really plan this with strategy, knowing that some people will have their questions, gonna have their doubts or what have you, but planning and strategic wise, I know you just not just wilding out. I know you have some kind of structure. You don't have to go in detail, but can you just explain to people about how they can go about actually exercising self-determination? How you did?
Yeah, you have the greatest questions, my brother. I salute to you for those questions. Great question. It's something called the Montevideo Convention that describes how a independent state is formed, how you assert your right of self-determination. It says that we need three things. First of all, the defined territory. For instance, we pick Detroit. That's our defined territory. You need a permanent population that's in consent. So you get the population to agree. Now you need a governing body. So it's as simple as organizing yourself as a governing body, however you want to organize yourself, whether it be a council with a mayor or just a council, or it could be a king and queen in a court if you want to. Now you're a governing body. Now you rally the people to consent to your authority to govern them. They said, look, as in Detroit, we said, look, we are a council. If you consent to us, we will give you free housing. We'll give everybody free electricity. We will give monetary reparations by leveraging the city assets. So you campaign, and now you get the consent of the people. Now, once you get the consent of the people, you are a representative of the people. You just declare independence. It's as simple as that. And now you just begin running it. Put your own force out there. Tell the police and the government you all are fired. We have the consent of the people, and act like you run it, as we were told at the United Nations. Just act like you run it, because you do run it. When you elect a mayor, that mayor gets into office and start acting like a mayor. You told a police officer he's been hired, give him a badge and a gun. He starts poking out his chest, head up, and going out there policing, become RoboCop, some of them. So the same thing for us. If the people give us authority, then we act like we got the authority. Put those police force out there, new police force out there. Act like you run the city like we have done in Detroit, and are doing, and develop a capacity to increase it and solidify that. Develop you a housing department. We have a housing department in Detroit called the Detroit Free Housing Authority. Why is it the authority? Because the people gave us the authority. So now we tell people, you need a house, register for a house. We'll see if it's available, and we will assign it to you and give you a deed, because we have the power to do that. So you start acting like you run it. Many of our organizations, not many, but some of our organizations have governments. Like you got the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa. Nation of Islam has a government. Different groups have their own government. Some Moorish groups, etc., have their government. So now if you can get the people on that area that you're in to agree with you, hey, so we run it now. This is our government. Same way they do. That's how you assert the right of self-determination. Just occupy and act like you run it.
All right.
How did the founding fathers do it? They just said, look, we declare independence, and started and ran it. I
had to slow you down a bit, man. You know, you go going. Now, you said territory first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what the second one?
Second was a population. You need a population on that territory that agrees, that consents.
Populace, that's the people, right?
Yeah, that's people.
And thirdly is what?
A governing body.
Governing body. And I'm taking notes for a reason because I'm gonna come back and test y'all on this too. Real talk. Oh,
Professor Major.
all right, all right. Now I'm about to challenge you, brother Ramzu.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once you get, because I realize you actually a professor in this area, right? In my eyes, and I really think that once you can get the support you need I think you definitely need to go on tour to predominantly black neighborhoods and use. I mean, and share this, even though it's already getting media exposure, so you may not have to do it, but I definitely challenge you. Once you can get a stronghold what you're doing, and people probably come to you, but definitely spread this message because I won't lie. You're talking over a lot of people's head, and the things you're saying is so true, so valid, so real. It's easy for people to say, be rude on, like, yeah, all right, brother Ramzu, what have you. But there's a whole other thing in having that mindset like you have, right? And really put their best foot forward and organizing and structuring and moving forward. But it just was a comment I made because I'm listening to you, man. And like I said, when I listen to people, I write things down and what have you. And I know you're a man of intellect, so when you speak, you're not just speaking. You didn't did the research. You know what I'm saying? You did the reading. You didn't did the cross research and so forth, so on. So that was basically a comment on my part. You know what I'm saying? That you definitely need to and I know you already doing things, so I don't want to undercut that. I already know you're making moves, what have you. But it was just something ran across my mind. Probably over talking myself.
Oh no. You spoke well and you over talk. I like referencing the scriptures sometimes because the scriptures are really revolutionary documents, political documents. That's why the rabbis is really called doctors of law, not doctors of scripture, doctors of law. So they was going over the law. And Jesus himself said, become fishers of men. Fishers of men. Why become fishers of men? Not because he had a church for everybody to come and join, so he can have a mega church. Not so he can have a bunch of nice marches with a whole bunch of people he can give speeches to. But Jesus was living under Roman democracy. Roman democracy. Same democracy that America is. Meaning ruled by the people, ruled by the masses. So it was imperative that those who followed him, listening to him, if they want to see that kingdom of God he was talking about, that control over Jerusalem, they had to go and get men, fish for men. So because one person might not be able to do it to get to everybody, but word of mouth, every individual can get to other individuals. So everybody must become fishers of men and spread the knowledge. Share, for instance, like sharing on Facebook. Everybody fishers of men because we share other people's posts, etc., make things go viral. That was just throwing out a whole bunch of fishing lines to the whole world, sharing videos. And you hooked them in and they clicked that button and watched it and either learned something or became entertained. So same thing with us. We got to become fishers of men, sharing information, letting everybody know. Buck the trend like that the scholar from Princeton University said, the strange demise of self-determination, how the government will connive that we don't talk about self-determination. Buck that trend and make the conversation about the right of self-determination. So we got some work to do. We have some work to do. Everything is a campaign. Everything is a campaign. How much did Obama spend? Was it what, $780 million his first campaign? That was for marketing. Marketing. We don't have $780 million. If anybody on this call got $780 million they can give us to campaign, hit that GoFundMe and give it to us. But I don't think we got $780 million, but we can spread the word by any means necessary, any means at our availability, social media, etc. And so I thank people. The last video, it went from 100 and something the first night to like 3,000 today. So we are sharing it. Let's get it up 3 million. Everybody should hear the message of self-determination so that we can do better. We can know something different and do something different.
Well, I want to thank Brother Ramzu for coming on. I really, really appreciate everybody tuning in. It's always an honor and privilege to have Brother Ramzu on this channel because what he means to our community, words can't explain. And the Bible also says, he who have ears, listen. Not here, but listen. There is so much we digest on social media, in the media, and our personal company that's not healthy. We get caught in a lot of rhetoric, high emotional talk. Some of it may sound factual, some of it may have some credence, but in the end, it don't really have real solutions. And sadly, our people emotions are played on daily. Our people minds are shaped daily, not just by the power structure, by our own people that manipulate, deceive, and divide. Even though they're supposed to be conscious, righteous about the people. It divide the man and woman. It divide the home. It divide the people. It divide the message. A lot of them are caught with power. A lot of them are caught in power struggles, caught into the money game or capitalism and just the popularity. We have a brother that come on this platform often to share real information, something that just not said literally in words, but through proof and documentation and research. So it's always an on and privilege. And I have to advise you or caution you, is a lot of that nonsense. All that division, all that hype, all that fighting, all that mixed and double messages, we need to stay away from that. We have to stay on the same vibrations. It's all about freedom and liberation. You can't get that if you don't have self-determination. So I just had to just do a sidebar there because as I receive this message, I hope everybody else is receiving. I know you all, but not just people that's watching live, but people that watch the replay. This is real. Same about just making videos and making money. It's not about selling our trauma. It's not about making money with this. It's all about the people first. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with getting donations, and I understand that we have to grow and whatnot, but at the same time, I mean financially, but we can't do it on the back of our people, knowing our people already being oppressed. Our people already dealing with financial situations and what have you, and so forth, so on. So I just had to say that because we don't know how long Brother Ramzu gonna be here. We don't know how long I'm gonna be here, and people that's out here doing what we doing. Was important that we guard our spirit and mind from those forces that's not healthy to us. So with that being said, have your last words, man. We'll go through the comments and close out.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I pray that the message was digestible. I know that power is not a language that we are used to. We're used to crying against power. We're used to hearing articulation against power. We're not used to talking about asserting power. So I hope you were able to digest that language that we were talking about. Please look up some of the words that we mentioned and further study. But we appreciate you for listening. You're listening to something that's extraordinary. If you listen to things that are extraordinary, then you're going to start learning extraordinary things. Then once you learn extraordinary things, you're going to do something extraordinary. Asserting our right of self-determination is extraordinary. So we appreciate you listening in. Please participate, link in with us. I think he may have shared our website, our hotline, call the hotline if you want to participate, join on with us. Link, we're not saying leave your organization or anything, but let's unite. And let's assert our right of self-determination. Let's make this happen. Love you all. Thanks for listening. Now we can go to the questions.
I'm flashing comments. Some I may read, some I'm just flashing. I want to thank everybody that tuned in today. And I want to thank everybody that participated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And shout out to the people I already acknowledged. Collier, Cynthia Caller, Ophelia Daniel, MajorTv Let's Talk, Comrade Ramzu Yunus, salute.
Salute, Comrade Dan.
Sister Cody, speak shalom, family. I pray all is well with you all. One love.
Shalom, Sister Cody Tamar.
Shout out to Sister Caller. Shout out to
Sister Shirley, Raleigh, North Carolina in the building. Peace, Sister Shirley.
Right.
Chandler Dixon, peace. Salute, Comrade Carla. Salute, Queen Ophelia.
Salute. Jody Jones, my homie. Shout out to MajorTv. That's the busy Business, Lafayette, Louisiana. Shout out to the boo. What's up, Jody? Coming through.
Salute, Comrade Tamiko.
Salute. Thank you for coming through.
Salute, Comrade Bomani.
Salute.
Behind enemy lines. Free Bomani.
Real talk. Just going through, acknowledging everybody that came through.
Comrade Malakia, salute.
That shows support. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the support. Power to the people.
If you all want to engage in conversation, we will be having a conference call in about 45 minutes. If somebody can share that information in the chat section, the comments, or the link, we're having a conference call.
Black Power, all human rights activists and advocates, freedom fighters everywhere. Black Power, real talk, brother. Real talk. Just going to your comments, letting people see who's
Shalom, sister. I gotta get with you, Sister Koti, tomorrow.
80 rules, hashtag. They do it. 8 endorse B1 reparations do that old endorse.
That old. Indeed, Lady Rule. Indeed.
Right. Powerful. Hashtag self-determination, the imperative principle
of action. We got to act, not just shout it. We got to act. Thanks for that, Shirley Baker. Great words.
Willa Jackson, heck, I want my money too, along with our civil rights.
No, that's part of the program. Once we get sovereign rights, we're all going to give everybody money. Everybody will have money. So, yeah, you get that too. Good. Great point. Great point, Willa Jackson.
Harmony and peace and tranquility. Government can give land to African descendants. You can do
they can. They definitely can. But we can become the government and give the land to ourselves. We can become the government. Government can, but will they? Major can, and Major will if he had power, which Major has the ability to take power according to the law. So let's give it to ourselves. We are the government. Let's become the government and give it to ourselves.
My sister Hector, Denise 001. Peace, power, prosperity. Those are Major in chat. Thank you for coming through, sister. All right, I'm about to speed up this thing, right? Great job covering this important development. As Consul.
Thanks, Consul. I see someone. Let me read this. There's a comment. Let me read it. I see another comment right there. From Zachariah the Messenger. Says, Slow Joe with another trick bag, another symbolic gesture. It's most likely not what you think, especially if he's involved. I hope he was able to hear the explanation of what he did. It's actually a policy he signed. It's law, so he can't. It's not a trick. It's law. But he did not say he's going to give it to us. He said he wishes to see. He acknowledges that we have the right to that. But we can take action and actually activate that right ourselves. So he didn't say I'm going to give you anything. So it's not a trick. When you sign a law, there's not a trick. That's the law. When you sign policy, it's not a trick. It's actually policy. But it is symbolic if we don't do anything. If we don't do anything, it's not symbolic to him. He didn't say we're going to do it. He said he wishes to see. People have that right. So let's actually assert that right. So he said it's most likely not what you think, especially if he's involved. It is what we think. He says we have a right to sovereign rights and self-government. He said we have a right of self-determination. That's the law. So he's involved in it, but he's not actually involved in that law. He just acknowledged the law. He didn't create it for us. But I understand what you're saying. If it came from him, it definitely is a trick, but it did not come from Joe Biden.
Shout out to Brother Zachariah for coming through. Thank you so much.
If somebody, Malakia, when I can share the link, I probably did already. The link to the conference call. We'll be on that call in like 40 minutes. Some of you are, if you all can join us on that conference call, we can actually have some conversation.
Thank you both for sharing the information. Thank you for tuning in. We're just doing our job. Zachariah Messenger, peace, my brother. I'm listening. Thanks for the information. Stay blessed. B1FB. BP Black Power. Sarah Lily come through. Please,
Peace, Sister Lily.
Thank you so much. Hello, my people. All praise the Most High. Be one always struggling and striving against the most satanic, corrupt side on the planet.
On the planet, indeed. Salute, black man. Peace.
Brother Daniel said, I sure hope everyone's listening. This is the most important thing you could be thinking about and doing right now, self-determination.
Indeed, Comrade Dan. It's the most important thing. The most. That's why it's number one in law. The most important. Let's take this as important.
Oh, I think you want to touch upon this, man. We do have a great heritage as Moors and not as slave Africans. The term Negro was branded on the people through colonialism.
Yes, yeah. We do have a great heritage. But it says heritage. It's something of the past. Let's be inspired by that heritage, knowing that I was a great Moor or Hebrew, whatever I say claim as my heritage, knowing that I was that great. Why would I be satisfied with being that less right now? So if I know my people were kings, I'm going to stand up and be a king. I'm going to stand up and rule. Not talk about what we ruled. Not talk about how we were kings. Let's stand up and be kings. Let's stand up and rule. Let's stand up and be the great Moor soldiers that went to war, that conquered Spain. Let's conquer the territory where we are. Let's do that. So yeah, we do have Moorish heritage, but we have slave heritage as well. And that slave heritage, before they became slaves, they had great heritage. But most of us don't remember that heritage. And those of us that do remember that heritage, show and prove that you are proud of that heritage and live up to that and go beyond the achievements that your heritage dictates or gives you knowledge that you enjoyed before. Let's rise to the occasion then. Rise to the occasion.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If I'm echoing, I'm sorry. I want to thank Brother Ramzu and everybody tuning in. But we at the end of the show, and I hope you all have gotten the message from Brother Ramzu. All his information, social media, website, hotline, vote for Black Independence is in the description of this video. Please go check it out. Please go vote. Ramzu, I'm about to close. Any more last words, my brother?
Last words is self-determination. Let's assert it, people. Love you all. Salute.
Love you too. Y'all be smart, be safe, and just be you. Peace.
Let's talk. Yeah. Doing it from the heart, that's the only way of doing it. Giving them food for thought, cause these Jews are real jewelry. Remember, we used to march for peace. The days Dr. King, remember, we would walk the streets showing our unity. Yeah, strength in numbers, we need to talk among us. We need to show more love and be more supportive. Product of my environment, something wrong with the soil. Soldier with no platoon, cause every day it's a war. Doing it from the heart, that's the only way of doing it. Giving them food for thought, cause these Jews are real jewelry. Remember, we used to march for peace. The days Dr. King, remember, we would walk the streets showing our unity. Doing it from the heart, cause that's the only way of doing it. Giving them food for thought, cause these Jews are real jewelry. Remember, we used to march for peace. The days Dr. King, remember, we would walk the streets showing our unity. Let's talk. I ain't saying that it gotta happen overnight, but we gotta make a change to preserve life, serve a greater purpose, and start with you and I. Gotta plant the seeds of hope deep in your mind, and let it grow to something you never thought it would, and give back all the blessings to the neighborhood, just the way you should, the only way to do it. This is MajorTv Music, Black Media. Doing it from the heart, that's the only way of doing it. Giving them food for thought, cause these Jews are real jewelry. Remember, we used to march for peace. The days Dr. King, remember, we would walk the streets showing our unity. Doing it from the heart, that's the only way of doing it. Giving them food for thought, cause these Jews are real jewelry. Remember, we used to march for peace. The days Dr. King, remember, we would walk the streets showing our unity.
The Negro is still languished in the corners of American society, finds himself in exile in his own land. So we've come here today advertise a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious